And we are live. Here is another podcast I'm doing to talk about my experience in ketamine in a K-hole. In this last week, I've been getting lots of flashbacks and memories, and really painful ones. I realized who destroyed my life and helped destroy my life. And it was a work in progress, we'll say, of what they did. And these people did admit to killing my kids. And they thought it was funny. And then I had a friend here who was trying to make things right. And they hurt him real bad, I presume, and from that memory I had, he's no longer here because of them. And, I got this flood of memories of all these scumbags who were trying to destroy my life and trying to kill me and hurt my kids and kill my kids. The other issue is the other people in my life and in my family who took part in it. And now I am disgusted with everybody that I have to deal with. And then I realized that my aunt coming down here only does it to prevent any sort of travesty from happening, because she screwed up. I am dealing with the fog of it because all of these people who've done this have gone unpunished. And, I had a lot of people blame me for a lot of shit. And then I got exonerated. And then they tried to save me. But then I found out that there was 12 people total who got part of this club, including a separate other amount of people. And they, they didn't group together, but they had their own separate ways of doing things. And then a friend who apparently got real bad by somebody else I got blamed for. And so that family went after me, and then they got egg on their face because the people were wrong, and then a bunch of others. So the issue is, I've had these flooding of memories that actually happened. And, I am now trying to deal with what to do with them. The other issue is I want to confront the people, but I don't know what good would come from it. And like they were going through all the scenarios where I'm supposed to arrive or be here or be alive. And I'm, like I said, left with only a couple choices. I'm either dead and I'm the guy in the casket, because they got a camera with a guy in a casket, and occasionally he moves, and then the counselor at the VA will, who's a turncoat and the backstabber part of the group, will, I heard him say comments about, oh, you better stop running, you better stop doing this, because he's going to run out of oxygen when he wakes up. And I'm sorry about that. And that's where I'm kind of stuck. I worry that I'm still in a cave. Well, I don't think I am, but I worry that I am. And I don't know how else to figure it out, And then they told me that my face is supposed to be all mutilated and cut up, and my nose is missing, and I got a hook for a hand, and my leg is missing, and my genitals are missing, all that kind of stuff. And one of the guys I thought was my friend, not friend, but acquaintance, and he turned out to be a big piece of shit. And, they've spent their lives trying to destroy my life, and it came to, fruition, where they destroyed my records and my home and stole my kids' photos and stole shit from my kids, and they were passing it around like a souvenir. And they somehow think it's funny. And it's not, because they didn't lose their kids. They didn't lose their job. They didn't lose their marriage. They didn't lose everything they had. And they think it's funny and they laugh. But in the end, they're going to lose everything. And like I said before in one of the early episodes, I have been in horrific fistfights with these people. Bad. I mean, bad. And I remembered one of them today. I got a flooding of memories of that today, of when my friend was trying to make things right and they fucked them up. So I'm still pissed about that. I have a mix of emotions because I also remember when they jumped me in a little, I don't know, it's on the outskirts. We're in the middle of Milwaukee. I don't say on the outskirts. It's like a suburb. They jumped me in a suburb called Bayview and attacked me and my cousin, or I think is my cousin, and really started trying to put the screws to me, and they abused their privilege and everything else to where they, what do you call it, to where the cops wouldn't help or nothing else would help, and then, trying to fix my military records, it was fucked. So they did that too, because some of them were high ranking in the military. So they screwed my records over. They, and I've always admitted to who I was. I always admitted that I was a heavy equipment operator, and I wouldn't wait that, but they thought because they were Johnny Hardcores that they could do whatever they want, and I tried. Uh, and they just, they fucked everything up. They fucked my ASVAB scores up to make me look like a loser when I already took it 3 or 4 times. And I remember, I have memories of taking it and doing good, and then hearing um, my aunt say, "Oh, nope, it's not low enough. We want you to be a rock with lips." And they kept making me take it and hypnotizing me and filling me full of ketamine. And so I was left with what I was left when they finally were satisfied with the score that I had. And then these wannabe tough guys run their mouths. And the thing about it is, none of them would do it on their own. And then they were doing shit sleazily, breaking in my house, putting shit in my drink, so it would knock me out. And then they would fucking put the boots to me or sucker punch me, or they would take stingers and shoot me, and hopefully it'd knock me out. And now these scumbags thinks it's funny, and it's not, But the other thing is I already beat the shit out of them. And just like I told you, that's part of why it needs to get reset. Is, I knocked a few of them out, battered them, but that didn't help, because then they just ganged up on me. And that was the other issue, is that they never did it soberly. They did it after they'd get me blasted on ketamine and hypnotics and everything else. So, and I know they gave some warning of, "Oh, we're going to listen to this, and it's going to show no views, and it's going nowhere." Well, whatever. At least my whatever kids I have left will know. And I remember them laughing, saying, "None, there's none that'll be left." Well, when that cosmic karma comes back to you, you pieces of shit. So that went on for a while. They had me, like I said, put in a medically induced coma, to where I could barely function. They gave me, paralytics. I remember they gave me a paralytic at a funeral at the VA, and my aunt came there and said, "Survive this, dead fool," and spit in my face. They also did it to one of my kids. And like I said, I remember going to her funeral, and she was crying, and I told my then ex-wife, she's alive. And she came over there, saw it, and then all of a sudden I fucking woke up in my car. So, when they think it's funny, it's not. And I dropped into that one group while they were having a pizza party, and it's the last fucking time I'm going there. And then I got my message from the place where I did stand up, which I wasn't any good anyway, so it doesn't matter. I just kind of went with the flow, used it to help my communication or work on, I don't know, just to do something. So now I have to figure something else out, and then they were running their mouths and talking shit because they, like I said, are Johnny hardcores, and just because I didn't go to combat or heavy combat, I'm not a veteran, so I don't want to deal with those people because they are scumbags, and I don't know what else to call them. They they are just really bad people, and they think because they could do shit or ruin people's lives that they're cool. But I'm gonna write to the Senate and shit like that too, because nah. And they all said, any of this happens, that they got all their embarrassing stuff on me to humiliate me. Well, you fucking killed my kids, and destroyed my life. It's too much else to do, you fucking bums. And the other issue is they were working together, and I finally, I don't want to say it exited the end of the K-hole because I'll always get memories from it, but now I know the truth, and now I am filled with rage, and then they said they're going to sue me and kill me once these podcasts get out, but they can go fuck themselves. If I have any kids left, I want to know the truth, so towards the end of the cable, I was missing for a while. It wasn't, they had replay memory, so I am really disappointed. And then part of my other problem was they were lying so bad to get at work, and they humiliated my children, my family, and the other thing is that the people who did it, said before they stopped, the family stopped paying us, so we're not gonna continue. And now they think that they think that they want to. Because in the end, I do hope the cops get called and the FBI gets called, and I want to see them lose everything. But they admitted everything, and there's people who did it, but I don't know if they'll ever speak up. And now is my time to rebuild and come back. And this is what happens when you're in a cable, or when you get on the one, or after it, perfect aftermath. And the issue that I struggle with is continuous memories of the flooding of new memories. Like they had one when they tried to kill me before it ended, and had to go like hide out in the woods and stuff like that. They admitted to killing my kids, and then they taxidermied them and used them to throw darts at and stuff like that. I guess apparently some of them were alive and they would just give paralytics. So I know who did it, and she's a giant piece of shit. She blamed me for some things that I didn't do. So they can all go to hell. They tried to say that I was African American, and I wasn't. And because of this K-hole, they were having people switch out as me, like they said. So they had different people, and they had people trying to destroy my life. And then, people, I remember during the last times of it, I was at this bar where I was getting assaulted, the place where I could stand up as a kid. And, they had some of the people who had questions. And, one of the parents came there. And they admitting to pretending to be me, and they were going through and destroying my life, doing fucked up things. The problem with what they were doing is they were guilty and tried to wash it away. And then the final thing came when they tried to kill me in a doctor's office for the memory of it. The kid who was down here trying to help me, but I don't know if that was me, and if I died and came back to life, but I know that like now I'm getting pieces of it back when that last what do you call it, volley of, not the last, but it was second or third to last, where they got into a big fist fight. And then from my memory, I don't know if it's me or not, fighting in the room, they had these ear things in, but when I took them out, if I kept them in, it put me back into like a keyhole where I couldn't fit it all. And then when I took it out, I went back in the room, and one of them shot somebody, and I took off running. I remember them coming to go after me and all this call it the area by the building, and they, I don't know if that was me or the video they played, but I didn't think it was. I remember walking. I thought the people were my friends. They weren't. So the one guy was, I don't know if I give him a nickname, but we'll talk to him. I'm gonna think of one for shit. We'll call him Scotland. So Scotland was there, and I was apparently there, and they asked me if I wanted to take his gun. He had, and I had that thing in my ear again, and then I heard someone say, "No, I'm gonna shoot you." When they goes, "You know, take this, you know, you're gonna have to run." And I thought, cops not gonna shoot me as soon as I go for it. And I think I reached my hand out, and I said, "No, I'm all right. I don't want anything with this. I just want to shoot you." And I said, "I know what to do." Put my hand away, and then when I turned around, asked me or whoever else, and I remember collapsing around. And, these two people who I thought were my friends came there, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know if it's him yet. It might be." And then they spit on me and dumped another. So that's the memory I have of what happened. You know, and, the like I said, the lack of justice or transparency for any of their bullshit. And now I know, you know, to stay away from that stand-up comedy place. I won't be going there no more. You know, my neighbor claims that they like me, but they're full of shit. And I don't need no more bullshit. And they have this guy from this Green Beret guy. I remember he was part of it too. And then I remember that one asshole who's always had a fucking problem. He snapping in one of the rooms one time. And I don't know. Here's the thing that they were doing too, is because of things that happened prior, they wanted me to get in trouble for stuff. And so they decided to manipulate things and threaten my life. Told me if I do this and that, I'm going to get killed. And they told me if I do this, this, and this, I'm going to get killed. So my ex-wife, the toxic Avenger, she ganged up with them. You know, she started roasting me in the doctor's office. She was, you know, getting me high on ketamine and MDMA and all kinds of shit. And then she was hypnotizing me to do certain things. And then she told me, if you don't do certain things by certain days, you're going to fucking die. But then I just stopped. I was like, well, I would rather risk it and whatever else instead of dying, or not dying, rather, doing what you want. And they attack my family again. They attack kids, even the piece of shit neighbors, like I said, that fucking fat slob and the fat slob daughter were part of it. Bar was part of it. And the comedians were part of it. And, I'm getting memories of her telling me to fuck you, but really fuck them. Eat a bag of dicks. And cosmic karma is coming. It's not from me, It ain't gonna be from me, but God's gonna pay you back. And if you don't think that what goes around comes around, it does. So, they all kind of wait and anticipate things. And now that I know who's who, if he wants to interview, and then let them know at the end of the podcast, I know it's shit, motherfucker. Surprise. But I would rather let God sort it out. And, they claim that God or whoever else. And, I have a lot of the president that wasn't true. They lied. They got bullshit people to act like fucking clowns. And now I'm stuck with what to do, And like I said, they've did such traumatic shit to me that I don't know if the daughter I have is really my daughter, or if it's my mother-in-law, or if it's my sister-in-law, or my ex-wife. Because people told me, it's not your kid, you're a woman. So now I struggle with that. Shit. Shot one of my kids. Because I don't want nothing to do with that either. So trying to fuck me up, but I have to let them know for the world. Think their game is funny. It's not. Just like that last real bad violent altercation I had. I had garage. And they told me that when JD Vance becomes vice president, that they're gonna come back and come hunt me and kill me. So I gotta right to the White House too, because I'm not gonna be threatened and talked to like that. I am not playing these games with these fucking people no more. And they have, they make up all this shit, or they act like I said it, and what happened is my half cousin, or whatever you want to call the piece of shit, made a public information profile on Facebook or Instagram and just started typing reckless shit. And then once I found out, they were like, oh, we have to, we can, it's blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I'll put your first name and last initial and your middle initial. And then so they were just putting my name. They weren't honest with it, and I had no access to it. They got some public people behind it. They got some famous people behind it. But then apparently it was found out, because one of them admitted to it during the final standoff when it was a big, just violent encounter when they were trying to murder me inside the psychologist's office, And I remember just fighting bad. And I had to dig with everything. They were trying to stab me with little, I don't know what those knives are called, with a little triangle blade. So they were trying to use that and stab me. And I remember I had to take a book and smack one of them in the fucking face. And then I remember they brought a gun out. And then we were fighting with the gun. The gun went off by my head. I got the magazine dropped. And, we were fighting. And they were, trying to stab me. They stabbed me in the legs. And they, got my family into it, my immediate family. So, now I just want nothing to do with them, And I don't know how to really tell them, but, apparently after I told my doctor what's going on, they're supposed to come now and come and fuck me up. But, and they're trying to, said they're going to put me in prison, but I didn't do anything. And all this is over is because one guy's wife left him, and her and I began communicating. And then he got word of it or wind of it, and then he fucking snapped, And that was another thing where I saw her one way, but really she looked a different way. And so I met this chick, and we got along. And, enjoyed each other's company. So he found out, and then, he brought all those letters one day. And I said, how the fuck was I supposed to know, asshole? He said, I don't remember her looking blonde and like that. I said, I remember her looking, a different way. And so he, began freaking out and acting like an asswipe. And then what they did is, because like I told you, when I was under ketamine in the hypnotics, I could put my thumb on stuff, or my finger, nobody else could, and it would show the real picture. So then they started reverse engineering it so that it looked the opposite of what it was supposed to, because then they caught on. And they just did it to make themselves laugh and look cool, but, they ended up looking like fucking idiots in the end. And a lot of them had to give up their flags, that they call it. And that was hilarious. Real hilarious. Because you can't abuse people, and you can't manipulate shit, and you can't try to kill people and kill their children because you're a scumbag and think you're the all-powerful Wizard of Oz. So now I am making it my mission to continue these podcasts and talking, and then, hopefully those people will end up in prison, and I just have to deal with now the after effects of it. But I know now, like they would come up to me and say hi, that there's no more of that. They want me to go to prison and I'm not going to. And these fucking kids who they had break in my house and threaten me and rape my daughter are going to go to prison too. So now when I have court, I can't wait. And they're apparently, still running their mouths and doing things that they're not supposed to. And then I went to go do stand up one time, and the kid had his little pellet gun or something like that, and he was shooting a soda can in front of the school because he saw me. I ignored him, kept walking, and then I heard him, cock it, and then I was like, "This isn't good." And then I heard the sound of the pellet gun, and I was like, "Well, at least it's not a real one." But it's the point that they were waiting out there, and the people who did all this illegal shit hired those kids, or they're related to them, and fuck them. And it's hard for me because when I run into these people, I have to try to prevent from giving them notice that I'm aware of what they did. So apparently, too, I'm supposed to be in some casket somewhere. So I have to now try to prepare for that. So apparently in May, when I turn 40, that everything's supposed to wear off, like I said, and I'm either without limbs in my nose and eyebrows and my lips, so I'll kind of look like Bane's face, if you've seen it ever. Not like body-wise, but, or like a mummy, and my arm's supposed to be gone, my leg's supposed to be gone, my nose, part of my lips, my eyelids. So I have to prepare for that. Or they said my face is completely tattooed, with shit all over it. And I have to prepare for that. Apparently all my teeth are gone. So now I have to prepare for that. And I'm just trying to get all this out before May, so that if I do wake up in a box, that, the world will know the truth again. They tried to make me believe that these celebrities were coming to Milwaukee to fuck me up, or that I was supposedly living with the Kardashians, and that wasn't true at all. And I went along with it to just let them know that they're stupid ass idiots. So now I have to prepare for the ramifications of everything. I got to try to record one every day, and I got to try to figure out a way to promote it. So that's a part of the reason I got an OnlyFans too. It's, put it on OnlyFans. Because this story's gonna get aired, and all those fucking people are gonna go to prison. And a lot of sometimes there was people, like I said, who I brought up Kelly, and there was people who were imitating him too. So he wasn't directly responsible for certain things. I just brought up the relationship that was destroyed between him and I because of these people. And I am sad over it because I lost friends and everything else because of it. And, cousins and all that stuff. Not that I care about certain ones, because I don't. They can go to hell. But the monsters who are responsible for everything need to go to prison. And, I just want them to go to jail. And, it's unfortunate because they think they can do whatever the hell they want. And, then I had people, antagonizing me, and they're still antagonizing me. So I get these memories of people antagonizing me. And I just can't wait until they get ousted. And it doesn't matter if I'm missing limbs, which I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to have no nose, lips, eyebrows, and lashes. It's supposed to be all screwed up. And I have a claw for an arm. I'm supposed to be hopping around on one leg. So apparently people can see me, and I'm just walking on one leg. And now that these people need to get punished, the other issue is that that some of these people were my daughter's friend, and now I have to try to break it to my daughter that they don't want to hang around her, which is going to hurt her really bad. So I have to try to break it to her that they don't want her to hang around anymore. And it's going to be really hurtful for her. So I have to prepare for that because getting her to deal with rejection is going to be bad. Because if it is my real kid, because right now I see her and she looks like the one that, looks like me. And now I have to prepare her for the real rejection of these kids she thinks is her friends, and they've done nothing but treat her like shit. And they are just really bad. And I remember the one who his wife left him, and like I said, I only saw her one way. I didn't see her the real way. We were friends, and I apparently supposedly had a child with her, but that's not. I don't know if it's true because the one guy said, I drowned the one fucking piece of shit, and the other ones, I don't know what he said about the other one. It was either dead or it's in a psych ward. Um, they had my daughter sexually assaulted. Um, her her phone number was on escort websites for a while, and I found the escort listing, but without her phone number. So now I'm gonna call that number today, and I'm gonna call the police because people are gonna go to prison because they think this is a fucking game and it's not. So what my plan was, and it probably won't work, but I'm gonna try, is to uh, ask, people to listen to it, and then also when I go on to make an OnlyFans account, is to ask people to share it and stuff like that. So I'm gonna put it on there, and hopefully it gets some traction. But tonight I gotta write the Senate or my senator, and then I have to um, write the White House because the one guy told me, and he said he served with J.D. Vance, that as soon as he becomes vice president, there's supposed to be a kill order, and they're not going to talk to me like that. It's what it comes down to. And like I said, some of these people are from my past, and I just see them a certain way because they're wearing disguises, or I'm hypnotized to see them a certain way. But I am not putting up with this shit, and I'm not living with these fucking memories anymore. My kids are going to get justice for getting murdered and beat up. These pieces of shit think it's okay to do what they did, and it's not. And that's all it's over. It's over dating some of their girlfriends because they wanted their own stable. And so I'm a better person than they are. And that's what it came down to, you know. They blame me for things I didn't do, but in reality, they set me up for it, and they had people assist them. Like I said, there was other people pretending to be me and going through and acting like clowns. And so that also soiled my reputation in life. And, I am not living with this anymore, you know. Um, and they apparently went ahead and said they found out about my podcast, or got some technology from somewhere, and they can see into the future and see that my podcast get no traction, but at least I hope, I'll tell my current kid about it, and hopefully she listens to it one day, and that's all I can say about that. And the other issues is when you go through things like that, it makes you hate people, and then when I was in the cable, they would show me pictures of them posing with my dead kids, and like I'm getting all these flooding memories of them showing me pictures of my kids that were dead. And then when I was at that bar that I did stand up in, a few of them came there, like I said, their families, and like I said, I got blamed for shit that I didn't do. And when I was exonerated, one of them brought a bag and had, the remains of my kid in it. And it just made me want to hurt them. Not my kid, but the people. But I know that as soon as I do, voila, and they did everything they fucking could to destroy my life, but they couldn't. And now I have to try to rebuild. So now I'm fucked because they want me to go to jail because they know what they did, and they're responsible for the death of 4 or 5 little girls and a little boy. So they think their shit's funny, and it's not, And like the one guy I thought was my friend is the ringleader. So I have nothing to see to him, and fuck him. And they keep having people come by. I see them. Like I know, I don't, and they think the shit's okay. And not, I just hope that, my kids get justice, even if they see people all the time. They see shit all the time. And, they, sorry, I'm inside the house. Really bad out. Not bad out, it's just really windy and it's gonna rain. So now I'm dealing with these memories, and I'm remembering things. So, and then the one piece of shit bitch took off and went to a different state, the one that gave my daughter battery acid to drink, and she died. And hold on. So they gave her battery acid, and she died from that. Um, I got to her right before she died, and she died in my arms. They kept on giving her battery acid to drink, and they were throwing it on her face and raping her and torturing her. And I got to her, and she immediately knew who I was, and she gave me a hug, and she said, "I've been waiting for you." And I said, I know I've been looking for you. And she said, "I've been waiting for you so I can die in your arms." And then she died in my arms. So I remember the ringleader had the pictures of it, and he made me apologize to the girl that I dated or was friends with, and we whatever acquaintanceship, and all of a sudden, he brought me in there to apologize to her, and then I called her the wrong name by the girl who gave my daughter battery acid, and then he showed the lady the photos of my dead daughter. That's why I want them to get justice and go to prison. And her body's still supposed to be in that little dungeon there on the south side. So that's the type of people that I'm dealing with. Just scumbags, and I'm broken about it, but her waiting to see me, and then she died in my arms. I held her, and she said, "I've been waiting to see you so I can die in your arms," and then I held her, and she died. And then they locked me in the room with her dead body, because I told her, when I first got her, she goes, "Hey, Daddy," and I said, "Hey, baby," and she goes, "I'm so thirsty," and then she kept drinking that battery acid and was dying, and I told her, I said, "Honey, I told you not to drink that yucky," and she goes, "But I'm so thirsty," and I knew just to stop, and she goes, "It's okay," and I said, "I know, I'm here, I love you," and she goes, that's when she said, "Can you hold me?" And I said, "Yep." And she goes, "I've been waiting for you so I can die in your arms," and that was it. She died. And so they celebrated that, and they, he did that to that lady that I was talking to, or that knew from the past, and then she came out of the room and started laughing at me. And she said, she was gonna post the pictures of it online and post the pictures in her house. So, that's what happened. And so I hope that, what goes around comes around with these pieces of shit. And I hope they all get what they deserve. And while I don't wish their kids, and I repeat, I don't wish their kids the same type of trauma or abuse or death, but those parents, will get their karma, and so will those people, you know. They think that it's so funny to kill a little kid and to abduct a little girl and rape her and kill her, you know. And it wasn't the first time they did it, and it's not the last time they did it. And I struggle because people think it's funny, and it's not. People think that their behavior is okay when it's not. And, they set me up. The whole thing, too, was they set me up, for everything. Because they wanted to, because I saw too much. So, they think it's fucking funny, and it's not. And, the one kid who I know isn't mine, they were doing things like making me think that certain people were my kids, and then they were trying to use it as an excuse. And I knew better. No way. There's no way. But, they would manipulate things so that when they would ask the question, it would come out. And it didn't matter what. It didn't matter if the kid was younger than me. There was something. It's like, yeah, right. So use that knowing that they couldn't because I wasn't part of their organization, nor did I have to play by their rules to participate. But they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and then they got away with all these crimes, and the police didn't do anything. Nothing. Society didn't do shit either, And so now I have to rebuild my life, and I have the memories of them, like today, I have a bunch of them. The guys at the comedy club, uh, making fun of me, and they supposedly said, the Kardashians and some A-list actors got into it, and so the issue is that they're gonna get ousted. I don't give a fuck. They are going to get ousted and go to jail. I mean, the famous people more than likely will not, but the people here in Milwaukee who are responsible for it will. And, they need to sit. And, they can go fuck themselves. And then my cousin, who I hate, started dating the guy who hates me, started dating his, ex-wife who he hated me about because I met her when I was younger and she was young, and he held resentment to that, even though he slept with a few of the girls I knew, or I don't want to say they did, but he did. And I didn't do it because he did what he did. I met that girl and I don't want to say bonded, but we had a I gotta word it right. We had a good relationship, not where we were living together, but communicating. She challenged me, which I always liked, and she kept me honest, and I loved her for it because there was no cutting corners with her. It was, the first woman that I knew that had like an ethos, and it was really cool, you know, but it got fucked up, the relationship, and now I remember calling her, and her the guy screaming at me on the phone, calling me back and screaming, and I said, yeah, I'll stop talking to you. Sorry, didn't mean to. Fuck anything up for you. And so, I I'm here now. And I remember that phone call with her, and her boyfriend was screaming on the phone, and it was him, the guy that where I thought we were okay. And we're not. Same thing with those fucking comedians. I just am not going to show up there anymore. So now I have to try to deal with this. And, I just hope I'm not a robot, because there apparently was a robot of me that had wheels and it just used to like roll around. And so that was me. And then, um, they, just fucked up my life because they're pieces of shit. Just like right now, there's one of those shifty cocksuckers who was walking past my house, but he doesn't think that I see him or know what he's up to or that he's part of that group. But he is. Scumbag. Yeah, like it's not blatantly obvious who you are, moron. He's in all black and he's wearing mirrored sunglasses. So either A, he's a plumber, he's an FBI agent, or he's some sort of creep. Because the way he's dressed, he looks like the way that I gotta see if he actually looked like that. Yeah, he dresses like Ted Kaczynski's police sketches. So, you know, I have to prepare to tell my daughter that her friends don't want her around anymore. So now I have to figure out a way to do that. Um, I want to go confront the one girl's dad or uncle, whoever the piece of shit is, because he's part of it too. And Um, I'm going to. I just have to try to figure out a way to do it professionally, because there's no other way around this. Like, I'm not living like this anymore. And then the dumb bitch who lives next door to me, the dumb fat bitch who lives next door, she is part of it too. That's my idiot cousin's girlfriend. She's an FBI agent. My landlord above me is an FBI agent. And then his aunt lives to the left. So then I was told that once I leave this house by my by the Detroit trailer trash, is that they are supposed to come, and her or that girl Zelbel, it was either those two or somebody else that told me once I move out of this house that they're going to come and slaughter me. So apparently I have to live here, or it was my sister-in-law that I deal with now, apparently. So, apparently once I leave here, because I got her message too of when am I going to move, and then there's the comment, she said this thing, oh, the Cudahy Commons, where that's all you'll be, and that's where all you criminals and losers and drug addicts and all of the above live. Or you're going to live in the senior living, because that's when you'll have to move out of towns. Because if you move out before then, we get to kill your ass. And you better believe we're ventilating you. And then I just laughed, because they think their bullshit's funny. Because I got the text from her, and then I went, that's fucking hilarious. So now I have to prepare my daughter to understand that her friends, who she thought was her friends, don't want her around anymore. And then, I have to then live with the decision, because I don't want her around people who are like that, who fuck with her and hypnotize her and treat her like shit. I don't want her to have the same experiences that I had. And these people are just really bad people. The fat pig and her mom that lived down the street. But good thing the one friend of hers, her dad lives or works at the McDonald's by my house. So now I have to talk to a professional. Maybe I'll ask my doctor before I get done seeing her, because we're done too. I'm done with her ass. She wants me gone too, so fuck her. And I just have to prepare for my daughter being really mad and hurt. So I have to prepare myself, and I have to start getting myself in better shape. That was the other thing I got. Is, they keep saying I'm in the casket, and, I'm supposed to be dead, so whatever. I'll try to get myself the best as I can by May. But if I am dead, I don't want my daughter being around people like that who abuse her and beat her up and stuff like that. I gotta make sure to write the White House and my senator And I didn't know how to feel when I saw Uncle Sonny's fake brother. Like, he tried to embrace me, but I know it's all passive aggressive. And I know it's all fake. The older, there's some older black guys in that group, and they try to be nice, but it's more of, I can see that they're all in on it and they're celebrating my end of days. So I got to do that. I got to prepare my daughter for that now. Not that I know that I'm dead, but I have to prepare her for her. Oh, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be a fucking awful day. And it's just something I have to do. And it's not about being a crusader, but it is. Because, I know that they're being bad to my daughter. Because she said things before, them being mean and sneaky and rude. And she doesn't know better. She's a little kid. And she would say things like, I remember she asked them to make birria or whatever. And then one of the moms came to me and, told me to have my daughter pipe down. That asking for her to make birria is obnoxious and wrong. And I said, whatever, I will. And I remember I told my daughter back then, stop asking people to do things. Don't ask them to make you food or any specific food. Don't even accept food from them. And, I would give my daughter money, but then, like I said, Colaco and the fat pig would steal it. And, my daughter's supposedly in the one's basement, so now I have to prepare to find my one kid. And I don't know how to directly do that without sounding crazy. Like my doctor once said, oh, we'll send you to the group for hallucinations and PTSD and all this and that. Well, I'm not bipolar, you fucking idiot. And I'm not having fucking hallucinations. So don't tell me. And I suppose that idiot we'll call him Sheldon. No, that ain't a good name for him. We'll call him... Let me think. I'll figure out a name for the idiot. So, I have to prepare for him to go, huh? What are you talking about? But I don't care. The other issue is that they had people following me around thinking I was going to commit crimes or that I was going to do this or I was going to do that. And these fucking people have to get off their high horse, Now I am stuck picking up everything, and people think it's funny, and it's not. And the normal me would go and hurt these motherfuckers, but I can't. So now, I have to deal with them. And now I know not to go there anymore. And hopefully they'll get their cosmic karma. It's just preparing my daughter for the rejection that's going to happen. And, I remember them saying, oh, why would you do that? Oh, blah, blah. Well, because you fucking asked me to. You parents of these fucking kids asked me to. You got it, you fucking pieces of dog shit. You fucking asked me to. I did before, but your retard kids kept asking her to come over. But little did I know, they were beating her up and hypnotizing her and head kicking her and knocking her out and doing all this fucked up shit that nobody accepts responsibility for. Because I remember the one cunt was bragging about how they knocked my daughter out with a head kick. And like I said, I got to write to the FBI in Washington because the fucking police here in Milwaukee aren't going to do shit about it because of that photo I have of my daughter's arm where they, where the scumbags at her school fucking killed her. And then this fat pig next door, she's been spying on me for the FBI because she thinks I'm a criminal. But she can go eat a fucking bag of shit, you fucking pig. Do your fucking job. And she spies on me all the time. She stole my daughter's mail. And now I have to try and, that's my goal, to get justice for my kids. And not necessarily for me, but for them. Or like I said, the one mom came up and, we don't want your daughter over here anymore. She said, once I get the message from the K-hole of them both saying they don't want her there, I got to tell her. And then when I said I told her, and then I said I'm going to tell her again, people were like, you're a fucking piece of shit. And it's like, well, no, I'm not. You fucking told me to. Oh, he's wanting drama. And it's not, no, I don't want drama. You fucking told me that once I get that memory of Zell Bell and I can't remember the other idiot's name. Once I get that memory of them saying they don't want my daughter there, I have to tell her. So that's what I'm going to do. So now I got to prepare for the rejection, and now I got to prepare because the one therapist laughs and doesn't really care anymore. So I have to deal with that now, And I am a crusader with it now, and they can go fuck themselves. So, after this last bunch of memories, I'm not playing games anymore. And now that's what I'm going to do, devote my life to make sure that they go to prison. Excuse my nasal spray that's supposed to be, ketamine infused. Apparently all my medication's ketamine. So now I got to try to weed myself off of it and save some so I can get it tested at a lab. And like I said, the one time I went into my therapist's office, she told me, once you get your Suboxone and it's going to look like this. And then she showed me the picture of the one I had. I took a picture of it too. Of it in the shape of a heart. And then she was like, just so you know, we can touch you anywhere. And just so you know, we're still fucking you up. And I said, okay. So, it's been a long day and a long week. And I just want people to sit in prison. Because they need to. And especially the ringleader. You need to go to prison, you worthless piece of shit. And what I wish we could do, and you can't, and it sounds unrealistic, is catch the one or whatever you call it, get a fade. But none of them are man enough to do it while I'm sober. Not sober, and under the ketamine and their voodoo, um, you know, uh, they will like to do shit like that, sucker punching shit, and they're like, "Well, that's what you did when you were a teenager." And I was like, "No, I didn't actually." People ganged up on me because I beat the fucking shit out of them. And I remember some of the kids I went to high school with going, "Oh yeah, because you thought we were stupid and you could beat us up and we really kicked your ass and put you in a coma." And it's like, "No, you didn't, you fucking moron." I remember knocking a bunch of you out, so I don't want to hear your bullshit. And yeah, you may have, but that was you guys from behind with sticks and bats like a bunch of fucking idiots. So yeah, of course, if you want to play that game, we'll play that game, motherfucker. So that is part of it, and then, they just want this endless K-hole for me or to me to be in a coma, but it don't work like that. And then they, had people following me around, recording me, and, trying to humiliate me. So now, is my ex-wife would say the truth will set you free. I'm not going to have people take liberties on my kid. And then one of them said, "Well, we're not taking liberties on her because your ex-wife's boyfriend theoretically adopted her. So she's got his name now, so we're not going to do anything anymore." And it's like, well, you scumbag, you shouldn't have done anything in the first place. So I got to go confront that one bitch's dad. Because, the one kid's trying to take a photo, or they took a video of them head kicking her. And then I remember I confronted her mom and dad. But, like I said, they never wanted to catch the one soberly, so they would shoot me with stingers, shoot her with stingers. Then those kids, while she was hanging out with them, were shooting her with stingers. So she doesn't know it, or probably doesn't remember it, but they were, because they bragged about it, took videos of it. And that fat pig who works the front desk at her old school, kept showing me videos of it. But they're all going to get what's coming to them. So now, these people are going to be responsible for their behavior, where I was. And so now, here is the response. So, you want to fuck around and find out, or as they say now, or you're going to. But like I said, it's a young girl's rejection, and now I got to tell her about the stuff they did to her and how they, were hypnotizing her and doing shit to her. People think it's okay because it's me, because it's my kid, because it's not their kid. But this is where that ends today. You know, and because of my little buddy that got hurt, I don't wish that his family's bar closes, but the people responsible for it, who were part of this bullshit, kiss my ass too, and I hope they get what's coming to them. Nobody has any integrity. Nobody has any honor or honesty. And, they sit and laugh about it, and they told me. And the thing is, like, I'll go to their office sometimes, and then it's like, thing about when you go through K-holes and ketamine experiences is you'll see things that they warned you about, or you'll get their messages, as they call it, or you'll get the memories of it. And like I said, it'll come at specific times. They'll make it so September, what do you call it? So on and so forth at 9, or blah, blah, blah. If this song hits, you're going to get these memories. If you smoke pot, you're going to get these memories. And now that I've had kind of the rest of what might happen, there's no coming back from it. And you should have thought before you did what you did. And I don't want to hear this emotional, oh, I was angry and this and that. Well, fuck you. Fuck you. When the old me would have wanted the same thing that happened to me happened to them. But I don't wish that on any parent to lose their child. I only hope that they go to prison. These losers have affected my life so bad that I can't. I can function, but I can't. I don't mean in the sense where, like I said, I can't function or do shit, but I'm not living with these memories and then having to go see a fucking doctor about it. Yeah, it's too. I'm supposed to get my head blown off. So now I gotta write them and tell them, because he came into the VA at the Hobgoblin's room, and the Hobgoblin and Elgato introduced him, and I remember meeting him, and he goes, "Oh, is this the piece of shit that we get to kill when I get in office?" When they said, "Yep, we want you to see his ugly face, so you know what he looks like before we slaughter him." And then they laughed, and I remember J.D. Vance told me, that, I'm going to get fucked up. And I told him to go fuck himself. So now, this shit and the shit that they did to me and my kids, especially to the child that they gave battery acid to and died. Because she was probably 4 years old, are going to get, they're going to get, justice is going to happen. And I don't mean street justice, which I wish I could do, but I know I'll be the first fucking person that they'll come to, So now I have to use this podcast and write my senator. I gotta write the White House. I gotta write the head of the VA. I gotta write the Army. I gotta write a bunch of shit, And people think it's funny to fuck with people's kids. It's not, And then I supposedly, which is a soft, supposedly, was told that I had a child with a real hottie that's really, really powerful, and that kid was hurt by somebody that wasn't me. So that baby mama took liberties to kill my children and, like I said, taxidermy them. And then now is when they go to prison. I'd like to recover my daughter's body, but that won't happen. I know who has it. So, and one of the pieces of shit said, "Oh, her body's still there." And then the one girl who I saw that I don't know if they lied about me having a kid with her, but they set me up with that. And her brother would come and, like, when I would be shopping, and he would say, "Do you know this? Do you know that?" And I'd be like, "Get the fuck away from me, dude." And he'd be wearing costumes. And then one time he wore the face of my dead kid, and I socked him right in his shit, and not in his rectum, but in his face. And he would always come up to me with, like that, and then he just took to wearing the face that he cut off of my kid, and then he would come and ask me stupid questions, and then I would punch him in his fucking face. So then it got even more out of control. So, he would come up and be like, "Hey, do you remember so-and-so? Doesn't this look familiar? Doesn't this look like your Jumpy?" And then he kept taking her face that he cut off of her, and then I would just sock him right in his fucking skull. But then it got to the point where he started bringing guns and friends, and then I had to fucking fight 2 or 3 people at once. And then he told me he went to the lady who taxidermied my kids and cut their faces off, and that's where him and his friends would then come fuck with me or try to fight me with my dead kids' faces on. And people are like, "Oh, it sounds so ridiculous and out of control and this and that," but it happened. So I don't want to fucking hear it, you know. Just like that one family member who murdered my daughter, and they cut her vagina off, or what would you say, the labia off. They cut her nipples off, and then they scalped her, and they put it in a placard. They took video of it, and they brought it to the VA when they were torturing me in that doctor's office. So now that whole fucking place has to get reset. You know, and the rumor has it is my face is all disfigured. You know, it looks like the guy from the Fantastic Four, the guy that's made of all the rocks. And apparently, I was told that that same family member who murdered and raped and dismembered my daughter cut my face off. And so now, you know, during this K-hole, people who were part of destroying my life took turns wearing these faces of my dead kids, and then the one that's supposedly of me. So I have those memories of them, you know, making, I don't want to say commercials, but videos of them like dancing with my dead kids' faces in their arms too. They made videos of them like doing dances with their arms, or like they would hide their arms in their shirt and then put the dismembered limbs inside the shirt, and they were dancing around, you know. And I just want justice for my kids and the kids that were killed. I don't care what happens to me. You know, you want to fucking kill people's kids and fuck around and hurt people and manipulate shit and lie. Well, see you in hell. And now I have to sit here and just deal with it and process it. And I can't talk to my doctor at the VA about it because she's in on it. You know, so Zelbel showed me a photo of my doctor, my daughter's doctor, my ex-wife, and her in the same photo. So, and I got to put a complaint into the VA about my tooth because a memory came of them saying that the exact same tooth and everything else, them saying that they were going to take out my tooth, even though it was healthy. And now I have to put a complaint in because it was one of their cousins, and then she showed me the picture of that. And I would go to the VA, and then they would knock me out. I'd be sitting like in a group, or I'd be sitting in the doctor's chair, and then the door would open and bink. And then I would wake up tied up, or mostly tied up in a chair. And then they were taking different drugs, PCP, angel dust. They were taking those algae discs from the pet store, and they were burning them and sticking them in my nose, like they were making it smoke and making me inhale it, while they were intravenously injecting ketamine and amphetamines and other hypnotics, and they were just, you know, beating the shit out of me and stuff like that. shaving my head, eyebrows, things like that. So now I have to respond in kind by doing this and making sure that justice is served. And the thing is, and I don't know if it's the guy that I do stand up at, I don't know if his wife is part of it, but she's a nice lady. But I get the, drift when I see her. She doesn't like me, and I'm sure she's part of it. I don't know if I have a memory of her dancing in the with my children's faces on and stuff like that, but I am not playing games anymore. So I don't wish any bad on the bar. I hope the bar is successful for my buddy's sake, And I don't know if that kid hated me either, but I want to make sure that it's successful because of him, unless he's part of it or whatever else. And then, I don't give a shit. But I I can tell that they were fucking with my food, and that's why I don't eat there anymore. I got chili that was really salty, and it's safe to assume they probably jerked off in it or poured a bottle of salt in it, so I didn't eat it. And I'm not saying the owners did, and I'm not saying the cook did, but I'm sure, the comedians or somebody else. So now you can kind of get the drift of things when you're around people, So I will leave and not come back. I just want the people who are responsible to go to prison. Just like when they beat me up in Bayview, that was fucking horrific. And they supposedly did, and that's where they cut my eyebrows, part of my eyebrows off, and cut my upper lip off. So now I have to prepare for that if that happened, but I'm pretty sure it did, because I have memories of them fucking me up. My aunt, that was a sad story too. I was on the bus with my kid, and they took my kid and killed her. They, started beating the shit out of me. Well, first what happened is I got off the bus and I saw that girl I supposedly dated and had a kid with, the boy that died of that rare disease. I don't know what it was, but apparently if you even touched some of his like snot or shit, you'd get sick. So I got off the bus and I was with my daughter, and that we'll call the one Dildo, we'll call her brother Dildo, and then Blondie was the woman. And so her brother goes, "Oh, you look like so and so. We got a surprise for you." So I said, "No, I'm not. Thank you very much." I grabbed my daughter's hand, took off walking. They were following me, and then the Blondie said something to me about better enjoy my last moments. So I walked into the ice cream shop and, to break contact and go out the back door. So I get into the ice cream shop and my cousin was in there. And that dumb bitch, we were in line and my daughter's like, oh, I want this and I want that. So I said, okay. And then I saw my cousin and I said, well. And then she tried to give her a pre-made ice cream. And I said, I don't want that. You can scoop it in front of me. And so then my other cousin turned around and I told her, I said, oh, thanks for faking your death and then trying to frame me like I knew something about it. And she said, yeah, that is kind of funny. We just want you to die. And my daughter heard it and she said, see, Dad, it's okay to die. And then they started laughing. We mean something else, honey. You'll know soon, they said. And I said, can you get her, this and that? And they did, and I paid and left. Well, no, I didn't leave at first. I went to go out the back door, and then somebody was there with a gun. So when I was done paying, my douchebag cousin was there, the one's brother, and he's like, oh, you didn't leave a tip. I said, I did leave a tip. I said it was $3. I left 2. He goes, you need to leave 10. And I said, I'm not leaving 10. See you later. And he grabbed me by my arm, and he said, you're going to fucking pay for that. And so is she. And then my daughter said, we did pay. And he goes, oh, you'll learn soon. And then he slapped the ice cream out of her hand on the ground. And everybody started laughing. She started crying. And so I, let her know it was okay. I picked her up. He threw another ice cream at her. And, I moved in the way and it hit me in the head. So we got out the door and Dildo and Blondie were out there. And they go, your journey's ahead of you. The game's almost over. And so my daughter's, sad and upset. And I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. Because they flashed, my other cousin was there and they flashed a gun at me at the back door of the ice cream place. And then he threw another ice cream and so did Dildo at me and my kid. And then while I was holding my daughter walking down the street, Guyu and his clown girlfriend came walking by. And I saw him and he started laughing. And his girlfriend slashed my arm and hand. I still have the scar on my hand and arm. She slashed me and tried to cut my daughter. And it cut my arm and hand. And then I knocked the knife out of her hand. And she started yelling, he just hit me! He just hit me! And then Guyu was like, don't worry. We got an answer for him right down the street. So I'm walking with my daughter and I'm running practically, waiting for the bus. And Dildo and Blondie stuck a gun in my back and walked me down to this corner of where this apartment was. And I told them, I said, just fucking let me call my daughter's mom so she can come pick her up. And they said, nope, you both got to go. And then my daughter's, sad and crying. And I said, nope, ain't happening like this. And they beat the fuck out of me, abducted my daughter, and then that's how, another one of my kids tragically passed, and I got there just in time, and the bus was coming, and they had, my other loser cousin was driving the bus, and he goes, oh, we don't pick up losers. And so Dildo and Blondie kept walking me down to the corner of this apartment building where there was like this little park, and they did what they did. So now I'm left with, these memories, and now those are the memories I got today. So they walked me down to this corner of this park by this apartment, and they shot my daughter. I was holding her, and I got away from Dildo and Blondie, and then my loser cousin came up with a gun and fucking blasted my daughter right in my arms, and her head exploded all over me. So I freaked out, and they put the boots to me and drugged me, poisoned me, and they took turns fucking up my daughter's dead body and beating me up. I finally got done, and they had my daughter in pieces after she was already dead. And I just remember walking down the street, bleeding profusely, with my daughter's limbs in her torso, because there's nothing left of her head. Whatever's left of her head was all over my face and in my hair and all over the ground and all over her car and stuff like that. So I live with that memory too. And it just makes me hate people, you know. And I just want justice for my kid. And I'm sorry for the dramatic pauses, but living with these kind of memories are awful. Especially when the police don't do shit about it. The police never came. I called 911. The police never came. My ex-wife had a meltdown and threatened me. And I said I did everything I could to get away. I said, trust me. I said I tried to cross the street, and then my cousin who finally killed my daughter was across the street, and then I was walking in the middle of the street with her, and then they were kind of like chasing me down, and I was just holding her, saying everything's gonna be all right. And my cousin, shot her right as I was getting ready to take a different bus. And now I'm getting memories of, the comedy bars owner's wife going boo-hoo and this and that, and making fun of me about it. And if she did, she did. If it was somebody else pretending to be her, then, well, fuck you. Because it's not a fucking joke. I was friends with their nephew, and we were good friends. He may not have liked me, I don't truly know, but I liked the kid. He was a good kid. And I'm not the one that beat the shit out of him. So I don't want to fucking hear it. because the last memory I have of him was when they showed me him and he's supposedly in a wheelchair, but I don't fucking remember him like that. I remember he was walking and everything else. Normal kid. Normal dude, I should say. So, I told him I'm not fucking taking the blame for that. So don't try it. So now I have to try and go through all these memories and all this pain and just hope that justice is served eventually. You know, I know it'll probably take time, but hopefully justice does get served and people sit for the rest of their lives. And hopefully they get their asses beat in prison. You know? I had these memories repressed, or whatever you want to call it. My ex-wife and Zelbel were repressing these memories when I would go to the doctor, and they were trying to make me forget who my daughter was, and then Flatley and her dumb bitch mom were doing it, and like I said, I caught my daughter in the car and got her out, and then she got mad, and then I just told her, Mom, you can't bring her here no more. It's over. Stop. She can't come over. This cunt is doing this and that. And then that Flatley's mom abducted my daughter and put her in a K-hole at her house, and I still don't know what happened. I assume Flatley's mom killed her, because I know that they eventually killed her at Yellowstone, and that's where they said, if I call, I'm going to get the police back on me, but I didn't fucking do it. Flatley and her mom and dad are the ones who did it, and they need to go to fucking prison. So, today's episode has been pretty intense. I'm going to record another one, but I want to thank you all for joining me again, and I will see you on the other side. Subscribe and continue to listen, and if this helps you or you understand what I'm going through or have been through it yourself, then I hope this does help. So thank you, and I will see you later.